Welcome back guys, I'm James for Kit Guru and this is part number 2 of the SEASONIC AURA modding project. If you caught the first episode, you'll remember that we just did a bit of preparation work last time out. This power supply shroud was removed from the case. We've also taken off the GPU backplate, the side panel on the case that we did a bit of work on as well. That's all ready, so these are all now ready to be shipped off to Specialised Laser Products in Rotherham, where a new power supply shroud will be designed, a new GPU backplate is going to be designed, we'll have some covers for these SSDs, and there's also going to be other work done on the inside of the case. So yeah, these are all ready to be shipped off, and that's something I'll be doing today. I'll be shipping these down there. But before we get into what's actually happening today, I just want to quickly remind any of you guys that have not subscribed to the channel yet, please make sure that today is the day you hit that subscribe button. And if you want to keep up with this modding project, that'll help you with the notifications to to remind you when we release new episodes. If you want to help support us in other ways, you can always head over to our store, pick up some merch, and don't forget the kitguru.net website, where you can catch up on all the latest tech news and all the latest hardware reviews. So here we are at Specialised Laser Products in Rotherham. This is the company that will be doing our laser cutting parts and making us new panels. We're going to step inside, but I'm not sure what we'll be able to film inside there today because of the new coronavirus restrictions, but hopefully we'll at least be able to see some of the procedures. So this is the machine that will be cutting our parts for the SEASONIC AURA project. This is a Bystronic Bi-Sprint Fiber 4020 machine. This has got a 4m by 2m bed on it, and it's currently cutting through some 12mm mild steel to make some construction plates. The machine can cut through any kind of metal, including mild steel, stainless steel, aluminium. The parts that we'll be having made will be made out of a brushed aluminium, approximately 1mm thick, so the machine probably shouldn't really have to break into much of a sweat to do our jobs compared to what it's cutting at the moment. So we're back at the workshop now, and the footage you saw there was the actual machine that will be cutting our panels for the SEASONIC AURA system. That was actually cutting through some 12mm thick mild steel there, so it shouldn't really break a sweat doing our jobs. We're expecting it'll be a couple of weeks until our parts go into production, but when they do, we'll try and get some improved footage using some different cameras. And apparently that machine that will be used to cut our parts costs in the region of £700,000, so it's not like it's something that can just be knocked up in your garage. So we're expecting some really high quality, impressive looking parts when they are produced. In the meantime, while we are without the case, we're gonna have to obviously crack on with something else. One thing I'd like to have a look at today is these Corsair Vengeance RGB Pro memory modules. In the first episode I did mention that we might try and remove the heat spreaders from these and maybe do something with them, maybe paint them a different colour or polish them or something like that. So we need to we will definitely need to remove the heat spreaders from the modules to be able to do anything with them. I think to do that we'll need to use a heat gun. I guess these are bonded or glued onto the memory modules. The heat spreaders are glued onto the memory modules. I actually have a Vengeance RGB Pro light enhancement kit. So these are just dummy modules with the RGB lighting. So if you've just got 2 sticks of the actual memory, you can put 2 sticks of these dummy modules in, and you get the full 4 memory modules lit up in RGB lighting. So I've not used these memory modules, so I don't mind sacrificing these if everything goes wrong. So I think I'll just test out the process first with the heat gun on these dummy modules before I attempt it on the real thing. And if this is an absolute disaster, then I'll not even bother attempting it. We'll have a go on this one and see what happens. So I think I'll just use the heat gun and set it on like a medium heat. And looking at these, where these adhesive pads are, looks like they're concentrated in this area where the memory chips would be. So I'll try and concentrate the heat on that area as well. So they got really hot quite quickly. I mean, these are probably, I'm guessing these are aluminium, these heat spreaders, so there's no surprise they got hot quickly. So now I'm just going to try and use one of these plastic spudger tools and see if this will just prise off. Don't want to pry too hard and damage anything. It does seem to be coming away. See if I can stick one of these down there. That's definitely coming away now. It's not taking too much really to get this off. So let's give it a go on one of the actual real modules. We've been successful on the dummy modules. Let's just hope that it goes just as well. Fingers crossed. So here we go, let's see. I'm going to be extra careful on these. Although it does look like they're lifting off. Might just need to put something down one side. Just try and hold it off. Just don't want to pull one of the memory chips off because I've actually seen that happen before. That's the last thing we want. It seems to be working. This is definitely stickier than the dummy modules. It does seem to be working. So that's one off. See if we can get the other side off. Just take it nice and steady. Like I say, the last thing you want is to bend the PCB too much or pull off one of the memory chips. Doesn't look like that's happening at the moment. It looks like we might have got away with this. So there we have a bare Corsair Vengeance RGB Pro module. So let's see if we can get the other one off in one piece. There we go, the other one's off as well. So now we'll just test these in the test system and make sure that they actually work. Right, here goes. I've not had any test runs, so this is real time, whether I find out if I'm going and buying some more of this Corsair Vengeance RGB Pro memory. I'll stick all 4 DIMMs in, I think. We'll go with the real DIMMs and the memory modules, the dummy modules, sorry. Let's see if they all work together, why not? This is the Intel Core i9 9900 KS test bench that I use for testing CPU coolers on. So we know that this system works fine. So that's all 4 DIMMs plugged in. Switch the power supply out the back and there's no smoke coming out or anything, so that's a good sign. So let's hit this power button and see. They light up at least. Does the system power on? Just hit the load optimized defaults. Windows is booting up, that's definitely a good sign. So once Windows is booted up, we'll try and exit back out and see what is happening in the BIOS. Try and navigate through Windows 10 without a mouse. It's not as easy as it used to be. Let's go into advanced mode, and we've got 32 gig of RAM, so that looks good. It's running at 2666 at the moment. I'll just enable the XMP profile. So that's 3200 DDR4, 32 gigabytes. We can see we've got 32 gigabytes there. Let's just see if it runs at its XMP speed. We've got a boot, so that's good. So now that we've got these heat spreaders successfully removed from the memory modules and the memory's still working, I need to really figure out how I'm gonna kind of mod these to fit in with the look of the system. There's going to be a lot of brushed aluminium in the rest of the build, so I'm thinking maybe I'll try and create my own brushed aluminium finish on these. I mean we could obviously have some like brand new heat spreaders made from scratch, but I really want to try and utilize the ones that we've got. So I have been doing a bit of testing to see how we can remove this coating. I found that there is a slight difference between the white ones and the black ones. You can see with the white ones we've got this white coating on the front, and then on the back of the heat spreader it's just a bare aluminium. But then the black ones, they're actually coated on both on the front and on the back. And this black coating, it seems to be quite a bit tougher than the coating on these white ones. So I've been doing a bit of testing to see how we can successfully remove this coating on both the white ones and the black ones. I initially tried some chemicals such as paint stripper. I even ended up trying to soak these in brake fluid because that's usually really good at stripping off paint, and it didn't even touch these black ones at all. It made the white slightly softer, but still it wasn't really successful. So I decided that the only way, or the best way to get this white coating off will be by using abrasive. And again, I tried the abrasive method on the black ones, and that wasn't very successful either, because I actually tried some 240 grit wet and dry, and you can see even quite a fine 240 grit wet and dry. We kind of lost a bit of the profile and shape of these heat spreaders on these black ones, because this black coating was so tough to remove. So the white ones are going to be the ones that we'll use for the project. I'm not going to be using wet and dry because that is obviously too abrasive. It takes off too much of this aluminium material. So the black ones are going. I'm going to concentrate on modding these white modules. And to do that, I've actually found a kind of a system that removes the white coating at the same time it gets that brushed aluminium effect that we're looking for. So I'll show you how that's done. First of all, I'm just going to put a bit of cardboard down on the desktop and give it a bit of protection from all the muck that's going to come off these, because it is quite a messy job, this. So you might want to, you know, protect your hands and protect your work surface. So I'm just using a bit of cardboard for that. The other good thing about using this cardboard is you can kind of press these memory heat sinks into the cardboard, so it just stops them slipping about as much, which will be quite handy when we start using this steel wire wool to remove this white coating, and that is what we're going to be doing. So it's not the easiest method of removing it, but it does work. It is very effective. Just from a few seconds of scrubbing it with this steel wire wool, that white coating is starting to come off. So it is a bit tricky as well, getting into these grooves with the wire wool. So the best way to do that is just to kind of roll the wire wool up a little in your fingers, so it's a little bit of a point, and then just scrub that pointed part of the wire wool in that groove, and in time it does come off. You know, it does the trick eventually. Just keep on persevering. You will get it all off eventually. That's more or less all of that paint taken out of that groove, or that coating, and you can already see that you're kind of getting this brushed aluminium effect. But to make sure you get the brushed aluminium effect, you need to kind of work in the same direction all the time. So if you want the brushed aluminium effect going in that direction, you have to use your wire wool and keep scrubbing in that direction. Obviously there's going to be certain areas of these heat spreaders where you might have to work in a different direction. So to get it all off this groove, you might have to work in that direction, and the same to get all the coating out of this little groove here. But you can always then go back over it afterwards in the direction that you want the brushing to appear. The good thing about using this wire wool is that it takes the coating off without too much effort. I know it's not simple, but it does take that coating off. So it's abrasive enough to remove the coating, but it doesn't take off too much of the aluminium. We still end up with this profile and this original design, which is good. I want to keep this shape, but we just want to remove this coating. As you can see, having that heat spreader hooked into this cardboard, pressed into this cardboard, really helps, because you don't even have to hold on to the heat spreader. You can just hold on to your piece of cardboard, which is easier, and just keep rubbing away with this wire wool. So that's all the white coating cleaned off that first heat sink. As you can see, we've now got a pretty decent looking and quite even brushed aluminium effect, which looks good. At the moment it's kind of a matte finish because it is just the bare aluminium, but overall I'm pretty happy with how that looks, and I think it'll match in really well with the style of the system that we're building. So now that we've got all the coating off and we've kind of got us brushed aluminium finish, I just want to give it a bit of a clean off using some brake cleaner, just to clean off any leftover rubbish from the wire wool. Use this brake cleaner because this is good, it evaporates afterwards. The final bit of the preparation now is just to give it a bit of a polish with some metal polish. This Autosol, I use this quite regular. It's really good stuff. We need to put a very tiny amount on the cloth. And again, for polishing it, we can press it into this cardboard so it holds it in place. And then same with the polish. We'll just rub it in the same direction as the brushing. So try and keep that direction the same all the time. Just give it a good polish up with this Autosol polish. Don't want to go too daft. I mean, we're not after a highly polished finish. We still want to keep that brushed aluminium effect. So we'll just give it a quick polish with this. And then just buff that off. Because the polish also, it kind of protects the metal a little bit as well. So there you can see now that it's had a bit of a polish. It's got a nice shine to it, but you've still got that brushed aluminium effect as well. And to be honest, I think that looks really quite smart. You can have a comparison between the old white one and the new brushed aluminium versions. So there's the white one, and there's your brushed aluminium. So now that we've got both parts of the heatsink finished off in this brushed finish and had a light polish, we now need to reassemble the modules, and for that we'll need some double-sided adhesive thermal tape, a Stanley knife, a bit of glue, and then obviously all the parts, so both the parts of the heat sinks and then this LED diffuser for the RGB lighting. So what we need to do first is take this thermal tape, this double-sided thermal tape, and then stick it back in the position where the original stuff was. So just stick it down, and then use the knife just to cut the excess off. Do this on both sides of the heatsink. You can buy this tape, or you can buy double-sided thermal adhesive pads in different thicknesses, but this is really cheap. I think this complete roll from Amazon is only about £4 or £5, so it's ideal for the job, and it's nice and cheap, so you're not spending too much cash on it. So once you have all the layers of thermal tape on, they will actually stick to these memory modules, but the other part that you need to stick onto the heatsink right at the top is this LED diffuser that sits right on the top there. So to stick that and hold that in place, I'm just going to use a bit of this Gorilla Glue. This is the clear Gorilla Glue, so you'll not see this once it is all stuck and gone off. Just going to add a couple of blobs in the middle, and then add a couple of small blobs at either end. So spread it across so it's a nice, really thin film, or thin layer. You don't need much at all. Then just place the LED diffuser in position. And then grab the actual memory module. You can see there's some little like pegs on either side of the LED diffuser. And there's some notches cut out of these memory modules at either side. You just need to kind of line those up with each other. Make sure they're lined up together. And then you can just drop the memory module down onto the thermal adhesive tape. And that should hold that in position. Then you just need to take the other piece of the heatsink. Remove this last bit of blue covering. Add a few blobs of this glue again. So a couple in that middle piece and some smaller blobs at either end. Then again, just thinly spread that out. Then for this final bit, we just need to make sure we line up the tabs at the top. Just make sure that these tabs are all in line. As you can see, they're all in line. And then just press it together. And then to make sure that the glue sets, we're just going to wrap a bit of paper towel round the module and then just try and clamp them together using these small clamps. You need to try and keep the clamps away from the glue area, just so that the clamps and the paper towel doesn't stick to the glue. So what we'll do is we'll leave those for probably 24 hours just to make sure that that Gorilla Glue is set, because that does state that it is fully set in 24 hours. And then after, when that 24 hours is up, we'll come back and see, just see how they look. So here is one of the finished memory modules. I'm really quite chuffed with how that's turned out, actually. I like the look of those. I think they look much better than the original white heat sinks or the black ones that were on. They should really match in perfectly well with the theme of our system. I suppose the only other thing I really need to do now is probably test these on the test bench. So this one's ready to go. So I'll plug it into the test bench and see if everything still works. Let's hope it does. Right, so we've got one of the modded memory modules connected up to the test bench. Let's power it on and see if it still works. RGB lighting lights up, that's a good start. And it's booting into Windows, so that's obviously working well. I really quite like that effect we've got with that brushed aluminium finish. And just as a comparison, that's what the original one looked like, and this is our new modded part. And I really like the look of that. I'm really happy with how that's turned out. Let us know what you guys think in the comment section below. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. Don't forget, if you're not subscribed to the channel already, hit that subscribe button down below. And we've also got the kitguru.net website where you can go and check out all the latest tech news and all the latest hardware reviews. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm James for Kit Guru, and I'll see you next time.